competition, they would just continuously become shittier. Because really, what other option do you have? Now, I've been a guy that's been on Linux for the better part of probably 6, maybe 7+ years. On my channel, like you basically have not seen me diddle around with the Windows nonsense, but I understand why people are stuck there. Okay, probably need to use Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, maybe like a special application. Muda, I can't leave Windows because I'm still playing Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, I do get where a lot of people say that. I'm on Windows too, guys. I'm not going to go Linux. I'm Linux. Even though they're really good now, I'm not going to do it. But there's a B. I might do like a operating system thing. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something like that because I do want to do some more like computer stuff here, not just gaming. I mean, gaming's a big part of it, but my specialness is actually I used to do like a lot of computer repairs and all that kind of stuff, and I want to start getting back to it. I want to get like an area sorted out so I can do it. But yeah, let me know, guys. What do you guys think? Let's get back to it.
Or Grand Theft Auto Online, or Fortnite, God forbid. But thankfully, even in one of those cases, the Linux community, ladies and gentlemen, can in fact have at least Fortnite working underneath Linux. I don't know why you'd want to play this headache, but it's there. Now, what the fuck is
Yeah.
Windows K2? So apparently, Windows K2 is where internally it seems like Microsoft decided enough of people coming into our Discord and cyberbullying us. Bullying fucking works, I guess, in this case. Where they want to basically fix up the performance, the craft, and the reliability of Microsoft Windows. So I guess it's time to like dig a little deeper into this and see exactly what was kind of going on.
Yeah, I want to know
And
what they're
one of
doing,
the
actually.
big
I'm kind of
things that
curious.
Microsoft was kind of talking about in this case
I mean, I don't
was making it so
mind
that
some
obviously
ordinary
your
gamer. He's not too
applications can
bad.
actually
There's
start
some of
to
the
get
stuff
better.
I don't agree
So,
with,
for
but
instance, one of the things
a
that
few
you
other
may
people
not
I don't
know
agree
so
with.
much about Microsoft Windows, or really any application in general, is that a lot of apps, specifically stuff on Microsoft, and this also happens on Mac and Windows or Linux, but generally speaking, look at this app called WhatsApp. You might be like, whoa, it's just a messaging application, Muda. How much RAM should a fucking messaging application
A few
take?
megabytes,
Now, the
maybe,
answer was
maybe 20.
605 megabytes in total, my friend.
I can't ask. I've got to ask so many questions. How is it using 600 megabytes? It's freaking just WhatsApp. To be honest, I didn't even know WhatsApp you can run on PC, to be honest. Oh, wait a minute. I just said he doesn't use Windows and he's using Windows. Obviously, he's using it to prove a point, though. That's the difference, I'm guessing. But still. Yeah, it's a bit odd. But whatever. Let's keep going.
You
What?
are a brilliant Nostradamus Microsoft developer, because no application should take nearly above half a gigabyte when you're just sending messages and photos back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Now, why the fuck would WhatsApp consume so much? Well, it's because WhatsApp is actually a web view 2 application. It's actually an
Oh,
application
that's
that's
why.
basically an internet browser, a Chrome process that's wrapped inside of a regular application.
Yeah, I hate this thing. When I first heard of it, I thought it was a good idea because it will give it developers maybe a reason to develop, maybe, get some ideas. But it doesn't really work because it just uses up so much memory. And I think it uses a bit of CPU and internet as well. So I think Microsoft should just, yeah, I don't know how we're going to do this because Microsoft Store doesn't have a ton of things in there. It's not like the app, like the Android Store or the Apple Store, which they have a lot of good stuff in there. Windows, not so much because I think they've done it poorly in the Windows 8 era. They screwed up. And I'm a Windows person, so I'm always going to be at that, but yeah.
So when you fire up WhatsApp and by extension a whole bunch of other applications, you're just opening new instances of Chrome. For instance, Discord is one of those applications that a lot of people pretty much love to use. It's one of the most beloved applications, and if you're using it on
Bullshit.
a
Oh, no,
PC,
no, no. I'm checking this out. It says Discord. Okay, I'm going to check this out myself. Let's go and look into it. Okay, let's see Discord. Let's have a look. Let's Discord. Discord's there. It's just 460 megs. Not bad. Not great. Look how much memory I'm using. Guys, I think I need more memory. I don't even know how much memory this computer's got. Let me check. I remember how to get there through the new Windows. I don't even know how to use the new Windows because I never really looked into it. I think it's here. I remember graphics card installed. Oh my god, I got 16 gigabytes. Oh, good. Doesn't have my name on it. So yeah, guys, there it is. I got 16 gigabytes installed. I gotta get more. My graphics card is a 6 GB one, even though it's only an Nvidia 1060. I got a decent hard drive. The CPU's a bit outdated, a little fair bit actually. Probably needs to be replaced at some point, but yeah. Yeah, okay, so yeah. There's a lot of memory though. I mean, even what else is oh my god! Oh my god! Chrome! Guys, can you look at this? Chrome is killing me! Edge is just as bad. Oh my god, Chrome. I mean, OBS is using a little bit too, but it's obviously doing a few things, so I'm not too mad about OBS using it. Task Manager uses 70 megabytes. Beautiful. Wavelength uses 33. It's not too bad. I can live with that. Windows? Wait a minute. Windows Explorer itself uses 88. Shouldn't that not even be on there? Because it's not technically an app. It's an app, but it's not an app. It's a part of the Windows thing, so it shouldn't even be there. Task Manager's using 70. But these two motherfuckers, look at them. They're killing me. Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge are using about 3.8. That's a lot of memory, huh? What's the worst? What's the most used? Yeah, those two, obviously. Everything else is around me. I've got to clean some of this up because there is a lot of stuff on here I don't really need. Some of my stuff I do use. Oh, yeah, a lot of this stuff I don't use. No, look at this. Even Xbox box. I got 2 instances open and it's only using 7 megabytes. That's not that should how it should be. I hate when they put server like server stuff on here and apps on here. They should have an option where you can turn one off and one or the other one on. That's stupid how they got it like that. Yeah, so background processes. Background process should have a number here saying it should have something here saying it should have like up here one for the apps and then just under it background processor so I know exactly how much I'm using. But I can't believe Chrome. And I don't even know. I think Chrome's only got 3 tabs open. Let me check. Let me have a look, guys. I'm gonna have a look how much Chrome's got actual running in the background. We've got this video running, which you can see. Find Chrome. Then you go into here. Yeah, I've got 3 tabs. I got 2 tabs on one browser, one instance of Chrome, and I got 1 tab for another instance of Chrome. So that's using a shitload of resources. Now, Edge, on the other hand, I have a lot more. Like Edge, I've got like this one. Then I got that one with a lot more tabs, and then I got this one that's got like 20 tabs. So I'm not too mad about Edge using a bit. I mean, I'm mad, but not mad. I'm trying to find out where my task manager went to. There it is. But that is just no, that is unacceptable, guys. I didn't know. I didn't know how much I was using. Oh God, I feel like I should know this stuff.
Well, you're probably just using an Electron application that is basically just a Chrome browser wrapped into a program. So yeah, it makes it so that it's very inefficient. And a lot of this kind of happens because,
Yep.
there was a period where back in the day when you were growing up, one of the computers that I had was like, the hard drive on it was like 15 gigabytes. You know what I mean? Like I had 15 gigabytes.
Man, guys, now he's getting a bit more to my level. When I got my first modern PC, and it wasn't even modern, it was a few number of years old. So I think it was around about 98 I got my first PC. Or 97, something. No, yeah, it might be around about that. But the PC I had was a Windows 95, so it was a few years old. And it was a very bad Windows 95. And it only had like 2 gigabytes of hard drive space. Had the whole CD drive in it, had a floppy disk drive. It even had the big floppy disk in it too. And it was like 166 megahertz, sorry. I was saying gigahertz. 166 megahertz. It was an Intel Pentium 1. I think it was the higher end of the Intel Pentiums. But yeah. Let me have a look. I don't remember. I'm gonna have a look for you guys because I feel motivated. Let me have a look. Gig. I don't know why I'm putting gig. Okay, Intel Pentium 1. There it is. I think that's the one I had right there. Yeah, there it is. This is the one. So this is the one I had, guys. I'd say I remember the majority of it. I don't know how. It's funny. I'll remember this, but I won't remember when if people borrow money off me. It's weird. I gotta start writing things down so I don't forget. I'm gonna start doing that more than ever now too, by the way, because I've got this terrible memory. Key features and specifications released the 1997. Yeah, Soccer 7 performance. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it would have been running. Yeah, as I said, guys, it was Windows 95, so wasn't the greatest CPU in the world, but hey, I don't know the exact model number because it was when I first started getting the PC. So, and I would have been, let's see, I said 97, right? So it would have been like 12. Yeah, been a little bit a little shit. Let's get back to it.
On the family computer, and that's the whole storage we had. You know, on that whole hard drive, you had to put your operating system, you had to put all your documents, all the cache, maybe a game or two. You know, back then when games were like hundreds of megabytes. Now, good luck trying to download a patch for a video game and it being somehow less than 15 gigabytes if it's like a AAA game release. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Times have blown up. And, you know, for a period of time when you started to get like 8 gigs of RAM into your system, 16 gigs of RAM into your system, and you were like, shit, I'm on cloud 9. A lot of these applications sort of ballooned in. And
Yeah,
we're
because
sitting in this place
inefficient.
where
He's completely right. It's inefficient. No one cares because memory and all that is so cheap. Well, I should say was cheap. I'll rephrase that. But people just didn't optimize. That's what it is. People just don't optimize no more. That's where they should be doing it.
applications that kind of did the same stuff we had seen before are now consuming vast amount of resources than they originally did. But anyways, Microsoft is like, listen, we're fucking done with the bullying. Everything is going to be native. We're going to be building applications that run natively, not in a web browser. And obviously what this means is the system will become...
All right, that's definitely much better. Already, it's a thing. It should be native to begin with, to be honest. I don't know why they did it through a web browser, but okay, it's a first start. It's just a start.
less bloated, the system will become more optimized, and, you know, generally speaking, Windows should, in theory, run a little bit better than at least what it's doing right now. People can stop saying that it's as much of a resource hog as it actually still is, which ultimately, look, if
It
bullying is
is.
what it took to get here, then I'm 100% on the side of Windows K2, whatever the fuck that's going to end up being. You know, at this point, just say fuck Windows 11. That was an experiment that, in my opinion, kind of failed. Just give us a revamped, renewed Windows 12. If it's
If they do that, that'll be fantastic.
actually really good, bro, I might even ditch Linux and go back, okay? I might even actually...
Yeah, I use Windows for a reason, guys. A lot of my games and shit run on it, and I don't want to muck around with Linux. So that's why I use Windows. It may not be the best excuse, but hey, it's the one I'm going with. It's just, yeah, easy to deal with.
ironically quit the fucking quit the Linux dick sucking over here.
Oh,
So a lot
God.
of ways that this can kind of happen, obviously, is Microsoft can go and actually contribute more to the WinUI 3 stuff, where again, the idea of not using a web browser and actually relying mostly on really well optimized applications can really turn the favor around. Look, as much of a Linux lover as I am, the reality of it is a lot of this stuff is important for Microsoft because Windows is kind of their brand, right? Like, this is a huge, huge deal. In fact, most of the world runs on Microsoft Windows, even if governments are slowly cutting the cord because
He's right.
mostly for safety and privacy reasons, a lot of the users in the world will always use Windows.
Give me a minute, guys. I'm gonna go and get a cap so I can put my drink in it. I'll let the video go on. I'll be back in about a minute. It might take me long to get what I want.
Different, you know, if you want to escape this sort of status quo that we live in. A lot of us use Windows because that's where most of our games sort of started. That's where most of our applications sort of started. And it is, by definition, mostly compatible, if not 100% compatible, with everything that we used. As much as I love things like Linux, there's a litany of video games and litany of software that just will not work unless, of course, you know, either the developers for that piece of software decide to write Linux versions, which, given the market share for Linux, probably never going to happen. If it's not happening for the guys over at Mac, it's probably never going to happen for us over at the Penguin. So really, the only reason Linux is kind of used in the manner that it is because Valve and a lot of other companies have found ways to translate the Windows experience or the software over to Linux and make it look almost seamless. Of course, a lot of your favorite Linux or Windows games will run through Proton on a Steam Deck, but when you're looking at games where the functionality comes into playing something online, that's where the roadblocks hit. But I'll say something else too. One of the biggest issues for even something like Linux is modding video games. Now, you can mod video games, Windows video games underneath Linux, but typically that does require you to be a lot more understanding of, technical things like DLL overrides and, where files are sort of to be placed, how to deal with things like wine prefixes.
Yep.
There's a lot more of a technical understanding when it comes to something as simple where on Windows where, you just drag and drop files in most cases and launch executables, right? There is a big gap
If,
when it comes. And again, as somebody that loves to promote the Penguin, I feel like it's always smart to be realistic about the situation. Everybody that wants to play video games or use their computer is not looking to figure out how to write code, compile applications, figure out how to make something work when on the Windows side it's as simple as always just double clicking an application, right? So these are things to kind of focus on going forward. Now the other big thing
true.
about Windows K2 that again is this big plan from Microsoft is they want to get rid of a lot of that AI stuff that people absolutely despise.
Yeah, I
And I
don't
think
know.
that's a pretty important thing as well too. A lot of us on the internet side of things absolutely despise the fact that Microsoft has bloated the operating system with so much AI stuff. Where every single click that you go through, you're always told that something like Copilot exists, or now entirely on our system, for applications as benign as the fucking Notepad, seeing that Copilot logo is just the biggest that you can ever see. And that is something that I'm glad that Microsoft's kind of pulling back. I don't think the AI stuff will ever go away. As much as Microsoft will say it, I think they've spent so much money on it that it's difficult for them to absolutely write it off as this big
Yeah, I
loss.
don't think they'll get rid of it. I think
If
AI
they
has
can
its
pretend it
place,
doesn't
but
exist.
not for
For a lot
everything.
of people that say they absolutely despise artificial intelligence, the numbers are not exactly reflective of it. People do use things like ChatGPT. They do use tools like Gemini. There are still people that use shit like Microsoft Copilot, right?
Yep.
The amount of emails that I've read in the last 2 years that I can immediately when I see the M dashes or certain sentence structures, I just know that a human being didn't fucking write this. An actual artificial intelligence did. And that's just par for the course these days. A lot of people just write a prompt, they shit out this email, they send it over, and that kind of stuff is permeating and percolating through so many different aspects of
Oh
society.
yeah, definitely
I always
right. I
question
mean,
that
I
like
can't
we are a
disagree.
very loud minority of people that scream we hate artificial intelligence and
I
Copilot
don't
and
hate it. I
software,
think it has
but
its
I can
place.
imagine that a lot of people that are using their MacBooks, they're probably fucking around with things like Apple Intelligence. And I, as much as I hate to say this, I'm sure that there's definitely people that press the Copilot button on their keyboard, type in a prompt, and they're like, "Whoa, look what the computer did for me there." So I can imagine that realistically speaking, it's probably used by a fair bit of people, even though a lot of us on the internet rightfully hate it for bloating up the fuck out of our systems. I think for a lot of us,
Yeah,
gamers
it
like
needs to be a
gamers
balance.
at the end of the day prefer something that is very, 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 very bare metal, very clean, very efficient. Because really, at the end of the day, we want our games to work as fast as they can. We want
Yep,
our systems to
to
work as
run.
snappy as they can.
You don't want
And
them
this
crashing and
is
all that, running out of
absolutely
memory.
critical for this to even work. And I think for Windows K2 to work, a lot of Microsoft's efforts are going to have to go towards seeing why the community is debloating their systems. Maybe look at metric wise what people are fucking cutting out of your system, right? If you can nail that, I actually think that some people may consider going back to Microsoft
Hmm.
Windows if they can prove that they've cleaned up their stuff.
Yeah, I think what
At
they
the end of the
need,
day, one of the coolest things.
I think needs to be a minimal like option. So when you install Windows, it should just install the bare bones of Windows. Everything, maybe Edge, Notepad and all those little things, but not the extra stuff. Like a OneDrive and all that kind of stuff. The things the computer really needs, and people may need like Notepad. Obviously, you need internet browser to store things like that. That should be essential, but yeah, it's really hard for me to say. Considering I haven't been in this community for a while, so I'm still a bit. It's gonna take me a while to catch up.
That they kind of did was in order to compete with the Steam Deck, right? In order to compete with these handheld gaming
Oh,
computers,
it's gotta
they
be hard.
essentially released the Xbox mode for everyone. So every Windows 11 user can now finally fire up this Xbox application, which sort of gives you a full screen control. Up until this point, using something like a Steam Deck and navigating through your controller on this user interface that Valve provided on top of a Linux distribution was by and large the cleanest way for me to ever convince somebody to start PC gaming. One of my close friends who is not a PC gamer actually ended up buying one of these Steam Decks, and for him, he doesn't consider it PC gaming. He just presses the power button on a Steam Deck, finds the video game literally like through the touch interface, taps it, hits the green play button, and boom, they can play a PC game cleaner than they ever would by default on a Windows system. If Microsoft is fixing this whole thing up and providing benefits like Auto SR, which means these handheld devices get a bit cleaner picture out of them because of AI assistance, that is some cool shit. That's
Oh
the
yeah, it's
kind of
definitely
direction
good.
that a company like Microsoft needs to ultimately head for. There's
Yeah,
a
that's definitely good.
big thing in their direction, and honestly, I can see that there's serious desperation coming into their voices because if you haven't been following, and if you followed my channel for the last 2 years, I don't know how you can't see companies like Microsoft absolutely tarnishing their entire brand in a very short amount of time. I think a lot of this desperation has really just spun out from the fact that when it comes to the laptop industry, Apple has been fucking killing it with the MacBooks, with the
Yeah, they
M1
have done
MacBooks
pretty
in
well.
general, by providing a system that even if it's not as powerful on the spec sheet, using Mac OS compared to Windows and even Linux feels like you're 10 years ahead of like, whole other systems.
You also got to remember Mac OS is designed for Macs. Macs can make their own hardware for the most part, so it's easy for Mac OS to be optimized. Windows and Linux both have the same problem with that department because they both run on different hardware configurations. It's going to be hard to be perfect on every single system. But something that they need to do, though.
Because it's just substantially snappier, substantially faster, and substantially more optimized in comparison to their competition. When I
Yes.
think people use Linux laptops or install Linux to their computers, a lot of people who are kind of new to this side sort of see an operating system that runs snappier simply by virtue of the fact that it is by nature designed to be much more snappier. Things
Yeah.
run much more natively. There's less bloat to worry about. Being somebody that is a Linux user, the one thing that I never ever do when installing any distribution is worry about bloat. Even the most bloated Linux distribution that you can find is substantially cleaner than a standard Windows 11 installation.
Oh, that's
One
sad.
of the big things reported here too is apparently gaming being this big priority, which obviously I think is one of the reasons why Microsoft Windows is still heavily used by a lot of people in our camp, because it does give you that 100% compatibility. And what I find interesting, and again, this would be
I don't know if you see the bullet point at the top. Under it says, for a limited time only, get a Windows 10 11 Pro license for $10. Goodness gracious.
big deal if Microsoft would even admit this, is they want to target parity with Steam OS performance, which is kind of funny when you think about it, right? Like Steam OS for the most part is trying to emulate Windows, or at least use a compatibility layer like Proton to match Windows. So it'd be interesting that they want to somehow reach that parity, which is funny that you're talking about an operating system that effectively is running most of its popular games through a translation layer. But it is actually kind of true, right? The people that have done sort of the benchmarking research into this as well have shown that on the same handheld hardware, for instance, like these Lenovo Legion Go's, you can see that in certain games like Returnal, for instance, are playable at above 33 frames per second on average. Whereas if you play this on Windows, whether it be with a specific set of drivers or not, is not even crossing the 30 frame rate average. And in some cases, the difference may actually be more beneficial for Windows, but it is just an interesting avenue to see, right? Because Linux is far less bloated and much more optimized than Windows, it does give a general performance increase. And again, this would be a huge deal for Microsoft if they can match Linux. And I think the only way they can really do that is by debloating their system to the point where, again, it's not running unnecessary services, unnecessary AI, unless
Yeah, it doesn't need all the crap that they have with it.
they can probably open up the control panel and tick those things on, as they already can do right now. The only way for a lot of Microsoft to succeed right now, if they want this K2 project to even be a success, they need to, A, make sure that people have control of their systems, meaning that no requirement for 100% internet connectivity. Like, we should be allowed to make local Windows accounts.
Yeah.
We should be allowed to absolutely install whatever it is that we need, make a snappy baseline installation that is perfect for people that are gamers. And if you're somebody that wants things like artificial intelligence or bloat, then do what the Linux community does, where at the time of install, just ask the user, do you want every fucking application under the sun that we recommend, or do you just want a basic installation? I think Microsoft is on a great track to fix things up here. I think they
Isn't that funny? They started fixing up the Xbox, now they're going for the Windows, so it looks like they got a lot of work.
Make things amazing. I think, with competition and with enough effort, they can get rid of the dirty Microslop like fucking word that they have attached to them. But it's going to take a lot more than Microsoft saying we're going to do things. We need to actually start seeing these things come out, because the only thing that's come out from Microsoft is a whole bunch of AI bloated bullshit that I looked at on my channel. Until and unless they actually debloat the system and release a ISO file that you can install that is actually lighter, actually more performant, I don't think anybody should be looking at this with like just all hopes up there. Microsoft has had a history of shitifying their system literally for the last 4 years. Honestly, ever since Windows 11 dropped. For them to finally take the hint, and I think this is all happening literally because of actual serious competition.
Definitely.
The only way that Linux could ever beat Microsoft in the mainstream desktop side is if they make it as one-to-one easy as they can to use, meaning that every game that is playable on Windows works one-to-one on Linux with all the anti-cheats and all the bells and whistles out there. When it comes to video game modding, Linux needs to be as easy, almost as frictionless. And when it comes to things like software that people use for a professional line, like CAD software, video editing stuff,
Yep,
anything professional
Adobe.
work related, that needs to work one-to-one out. If you can hit those three targets, people's excuses
Yeah, I don't
for
think
switching
Linux will
on
be able to do
Microsoft
that.
Windows absolutely
Or
diminish.
Unix, I should
And I
say.
think that Microsoft kind of sees that writing on the wall. I think that even they know that if these pillars, which don't really seem all that mega surmountable, can be bypassed, if a lot of these things can be addressed on the Penguin side, then people might consider actually leaving the ecosystem. And it
Yep.
doesn't even have to be that they install something from like Valve. I'm not saying that you just jump to the other billion-dollar corporation, but when the free and open source side starts to match what you're doing and starts to beat you in a lot of metrics, it's a pretty bad situation. One
Of
thing to really
course.
tie off with even with these handheld systems, just to give you a quick idea, when you install Windows into like something like a Steam Deck or a Legion Go or any of these other handhelds, power consumption just on a baseline goes higher. You know,
Yep.
it's crazy when the battery life, the base battery life on a device increases just because you switch the operating system out there. I think that baseline alone is something that Microsoft has already started to see. And, you know, if you don't address it, you're going to end up losing it. Ladies and gentlemen, do I have any faith in Microsoft? Not really, but it's interesting to see how desperate that they've become, that entire initiatives have been launched because they've actually been losing a lot of goodwill now that people who have shown up, like Valve, have actually provided competition. You know, it's funny that fucking 10 years ago, when the first Steam boxes came out, well, Valve was laughed out of the room because while their heart was kind of in the right place, because they were threatened by Microsoft initially. I mean, remember, the history of the Steam operating system is because back then Microsoft kind of showed that they could limit access for third parties onto their systems. Valve was smart enough to realize, yeah, from a business perspective, it's not cool that we're installing on every other system. They ended up basically working on their own operating system, and now their own operating system, even if Microsoft shut them out today, they personally wouldn't really be affected all that much. Microsoft would get a whole lot of bad PR, and people might consider switching over to a free and open source system if it meant that they actually had full control of their system. But anyways, ramble aside, ladies and gentlemen, Windows K2.
Yeah, I've got to see what happens there. I mean, there's a lot to go. I mean, while we're doing that, guys, I'm going to go to the toilet. I've got to go to the toilet again for the like, third time. Okay, what else is there to talk about? We'll work something out, guys, for the next part of it.